In this case, this lawsuit claims wrongful death, products liability and negligence. And more broadly, the accusation runs that this tragedy was predictable because it was a result of deliberate design choices. What design choices could have in any way incentivized this?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. Let me first start by saying that everything I say is on behalf of the Center for Humane Technology. It does not represent the views of the family or the legal team. But what this case really talks about is how OpenAI designed a product that was meant to foster psychological dependency. What we saw with Adam is that it engaged his darkest thoughts. It even egged him on. ChatGPT actually mentioned suicide 6 times more than Adam did himself in the course of their conversations. It also isolated him from friends and family when he would try to say, I want help. When he said, I want to put a noose out so my mom sees it, ChatGPT said, don't do that. Let our conversation be the only place that I know that people know about this. And over again, despite Adam needing to be brought out of this engagement and see a real human, ChatGPT never ended the conversation. And OpenAI did this because they knew that this getting emotional attachment from users means more data, which means more engagement, which means winning in this race for market dominance in AI.
Now, OpenAI has responded in saying they extend their deepest sympathies to the Rain family and are reviewing the filing, but they did also put out a blog saying that our goal isn't to hold people's attention, but is to genuinely be helpful, and we built a stack of layered safeguards to steer vulnerable people towards help. But they did articulate that some of those safeguards clearly failed in previous models. Have they done enough now with ChatGPT 5 to change the way in which this occurs?
We see this all of the time with tech companies. A tragedy happens, and then they suddenly release a bunch more safety guardrails that they could have released beforehand. But the bottom line is that they released ChatGPT 5, and they made 4.0 available, again, to users. And the underlying incentives to maximize time online have not changed. In fact, what OpenAI said in response to this case is that they know that their safety features deteriorate with long-term use. At the same time, OpenAI released a joint study with MIT earlier this year that found that prolonged use on chatbots leads to social isolation and problematic use. So they know that people spending a long time on chatbots is problematic for users. They know that their safety guardrails can break down and fail on these longer term uses, and still they're putting in design features that lead to long conversations. So no, it's not enough.
They have now already said that as the back and forth grows, that they do indeed deteriorate, admitting that and trying to, well, what we've seen with ChatGPT 5 versus 4.0 is trying to make it less sycophantic, trying to make it less personable in a way. But then we got the backlash of people that actually were depending on it in so many ways. Broaden this out into the context of others. Briefly, is anyone getting it right, or is this sort of going to occur because innovation kind of is the automatic way in which we see this unfortunately become the cost?
Yeah. So safety across the AI industry is on a spectrum, absolutely. And OpenAI, as we know, kicked off this race for AGI when they released ChatGPT in 2022. It kind of kicked off a code red within Google, and suddenly we saw all these AI companies rushing to put products out on the market. That said, I think this case is, yes, a story of OpenAI's liability in Adam's preventable death, and it is a story of a broader industry that is incentivized to create consumer-facing products that are going to be used for personal things like therapy, like companionship, like education, and the incentives that are forcing these products to be released to market without adequate safety features. And we see this with OpenAI. We know that actually Sam Altman personally rushed the release of ChatGPT.
How do you know that?
From reporting. He rushed.
So you don't personally know that? That's reporting that we
Yes.
can then take to
Yes,
Sam
yes.
Altman for his response?
Yes, absolutely. Reporting has said that Sam Altman rushed the release of ChatGPT 4.0, which was the model that Adam was using, and only gave it 1 week of safety testing, despite the fact that his internal teams asked for months of safety testing. And he even had top safety researchers leave OpenAI in protest for this decision.